Oh! Let's go!
I can honestly say that it makes gaming more exciting than it's ever been. Ever. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
What did I say it on the street? All right, we should be live on Twitch here in just a second, folks. So welcome everyone to the Channel 3 video game book club discussion for Halo Combat Evolved. An entirely too old video game, but we are here for it. We are going to be chatting about the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. Joining me today, well, first let me introduce myself. I am InfoCynic. I am the video game book club narrator, and my co-narrators today will be Basic. Say hi, Basic.
How's it going?
Darth Smeagol. Say hi, Smeagol. Or don't say hi, Smeagol. Smeagol might be having technical difficulties. We'll come back to Smeagol. And John, joining us for the first time in a video game book club discussion. Welcome.
Thank you. This is cool. Appreciate the invite.
Yeah. So, first things first, we gotta know, was this anybody's first time playing Halo 1? I always like to know, did we have rookies here? Basic, what about you? You look like the man who has played a little bit of Halo in his life.
The cat, yeah.
The cat has also played Halo.
Definitely. Can I help you, bro? All right, sorry. Yeah, no, I played it a lot when it first came out, but hadn't really played it since then. So this was it's like my first time again.
How about you, John?
So the only Halo I've ever played is, sorry, I moved my camera. Let me readjust my browser.
That's fine.
Is Halo 1, but I only played multiplayer because we had it set up to the wall of TVs when I worked at Hollywood Video back in the day. So we would just screw around and play multiplayer Halo with customers. So I've never actually played the campaign, and it's very different from what I remember.
Yeah, the campaign is it's a lot different than what you might get if you were playing this multiplayer, for sure. Let's get these name fields up here. Excellent. All right, so the next order of housekeeping is I personally staked out a bounty for the best joke. The setup head of the joke had to be, what's the difference between a warthog, and then people had to fill in the blanks. I'm going to read through. We've got 5 responses here, I think. All right, so we'll start with John's. What's the difference between a warthog and an MA5 rifle and a full-fledged course of the groin from Cortana? Nothing, but at least the last one is someone enjoying something. I'm going to just paraphrase that a little bit because we do need to keep this on a. We're not in a flight for a mature stream right now.
Yes.
Basic writes, what's the difference between a warthog and the AI-controlled Marines? The Marines are at least trying to go in the right direction. That's pretty good, man. I mean, that is very true. Smeagol, wherever he is probably trying to reach me on a Discord or something. I'll turn on one of my 5,000 screens here. What's the difference between a warthog and Pumbaa? They both stink terribly, but at least people actually like Pumbaa. I can appreciate that. Pumbaa's great. Warthog, not so much. Dan writes, what's the difference between a Warthog and a Cybertruck? The graphics and resolution are better on the Warthog.
Oh, that's a good one. Dang.
That's harsh, but it's true.
It's so true.
That's a solid one.
Trav G has joined us before. He joined us for Batman, isn't here today. What's the difference between the Warthog and the tank in GoldenEye? At least you can drive the tank in GoldenEye. It's been a while, but I do remember the tank in GoldenEye being a bit of a beast to steer. I don't know if it's as bad as the Warthog. I think this comes down to the Cybertruck and the Marines trying to go the right direction. I'm going to think about it and award it at the end of this call. All right, let's get into the game. So, nominally, we are supposed to here to talk about the plot of the game, but come on, it's Halo. It's 27 years old. But we can at least pretend a little bit like we care about the plot. So overall impressions of the story. What did we think? In some ways, I'll start with my opinions. I feel like Halo is kind of still, even 27 years later, or whatever it is, almost a gold standard for like, hey, look, it's a shooter game, and we actually have a pretty good story here. It's not deep. It's not super complex. We got good guys, we got bad guys, we got some mystery and intrigue going on. But, a lot of times the shooter games just kill. Not so much, oh, yeah, I guess we should write a plot. And also, plot didn't require any, wasn't World War II related at the time, was, very popular. What did you guys think?
So when I went through it this time, I was trying to pay kind of extra attention there because I knew we probably weren't going to be able to do a lot of the multiplayer. But going through the story, I remember being kind of struck that this was. I remember it was the first game, the first shooter game that I had played that had kind of an overarching narrative that was this kind of, it's not like you said, not the deepest story in the world, but for being a shooter game that was actually in the game proper and not something you had to read in an instruction manual or something. Because even GoldenEye, there was technically a story there, but you wouldn't really get it if you just skipped through all of the briefings like I did. So this one was more of you kind of were really engaging and pushing a narrative forward. And I'm sure there were other games like that before Halo, but it's the first one that I remember playing and being oh, this is pretty a pretty interesting story.
It's kind of the same for me. The previous shooters that I played, if I try and date it back to when Halo came out, Doom, Wolfenstein, they weren't really story heavy. It's kind of you're just dropped. You're mad about something, you got to shoot the demons. Those terminals that you find with lore, the cutscenes, the voice acting, it really, in my opinion, still set up modern first-person single-player story shooters, and kind of forced other companies to elevate against Bungie for what they put out. The story, I have no problem with the story. I know I didn't finish the game because I just wasn't enjoying myself. But the story, as I was learning, I actually kept reading about the lore and the story after I stopped playing the game because it really was interesting.
Oh, the story is fantastic. I don't know if you all hear me finally. I think the story was fantastic. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, I think the story is fantastic. I think it really, I think kind of basically already touched on it. It's just GoldenEye kind of was the first one really to bring shooters to a console, and then Halo, with what it did with the story, gameplay, everything, just really made it clear that, okay, first-person shooters can not only do well on console, but, they can compete with computers.
Yeah, that's a great point. One thing I noticed with this game on this playthrough, because I think my first playthrough Halo was, so I didn't play it when it was original. I only recently started, joining the Xbox Master Race. Oh wait, there's no such thing. I played the Master Chief Collection, I think 7 years ago, based on my achievement list. So that was my first time really playing through the campaign. I had played Metro a little bit multiplayer in college, as one does, but I noticed this time I found some of the hidden terminals, which I don't think I knew even existed on my first playthrough, because I was just like, oh, I just run through and I kill the bad guys. Okay. There's cool cutscenes, stories, a little bit at the beginning of the chapter, a little bit at the end of the chapter. But those terminals really unlock a lot more of the story. As a game design,
I think they're new for the Master Chief Collection.
Well, they're new for Master Chief. Interesting.
If not the Master Chief Collection, at least I think new for the Anniversary Collection, because
They might.
I don't remember ever coming across them in the original.
Yeah, same.
But it's as a game design standpoint, I'm interested in the take on hiding story elements behind, kind of out of the way. Not always out of the way. Sometimes they're pretty obvious, but they're easily missable. If you're caught up in a firefight, you could walk right past it and never hit it. What do you think of that from a design standpoint? Do you like it? Think, hey, this is a cool Easter egg for the dedicated fans, or is it something they should improve?
It would have been nicer, I think, to be more obvious, because, to be honest, I didn't know they were in there until I found one on the last level. I was like, oh, because I knew there were terminals in later games, but I didn't know there were ones in this one, and so I didn't find one until, like I said, last level. I was like, oh, that was actually pretty cool, some extra story content. I would have liked to have known about this sooner.
Yeah. It would really have been nice to know about them. I think I found one 4 or 5 stages in, which there's 10 chapters, so that's already basically halfway through the game. And then I didn't know, is there one at every level? I didn't know. I didn't want to go look. I was lazy.
Yeah, I really didn't feel like playing it again, so
Right.
I could just YouTube it later.
Yeah,
exactly. Playing through the story once was enough for me. I wasn't about to go back and re-explore everything.
Yeah,
I think that seems to be the consensus.
Sorry,
go ahead, John.
No, I'm finished. Go for it.
I was just saying I feel like the case with most games where when you can't go back and you learn about a collectible or something. So I found my first terminal on the 2nd level, and then I was like, and it gives you the number. It's like, oh, terminal 2 of whatever, and I was just like, son of a, I'm not going to restart this, but now I feel like, yeah, it's giving me extra lore, but what lore did I now miss from missing the first one? So part of me got a little annoyed. And so making them more obvious is, I would like them to be more obvious, yeah.
Especially the first one. Like, if there had been the first one had been super obvious, then people would be like, okay. And then if they miss the second one, okay, I need to go back, play that second level again, find it, because obviously there's something I missed. Maybe people are more inclined to go back a level rather than go back and replay the entire game.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That's one thing I recently learned was I don't have to 100% every game anymore. So, going back.
Info does.
We lost info.
I do. I have time, but I chose not to 100% Halo because the achievement list
he's so upset with Halo that he just left. All right,
we're breaking up a bit here.
While we wait for Info to get back, I'll go ahead. I'm going to ask a question, and I'll fill him in on that when he comes back. I think one of the things that really stood out for me, jumping into, right from the start of the playing this game, is the music. It really grabs you right from that opening menu, and really, I think it's one of the best video game soundtracks out there. Curious to hear what you guys think about the soundtrack.
Yeah, no, and I was playing it. I played through the first half on stream, and I remember when I got to the second level and you're going through, it's the music is just so good at setting up the mood for every encounter. It's all I'm trying to think how to word this properly, but it's like it's all part of the same like theme. Like it's all like very Halo-ish, but like there's a lot of different types of Halo music depending on whether you're in like dire straits or if you're about to rally and come back and bring your Marines to victory. There's like a lot of different kinds of music, and it's very good at setting the tone, no matter where you are in the game.
John, what are your thoughts on the music?
So it's I'm with you. It's one of those soundtracks that I've listened through it, regularly, despite not having played the game over the years, because it's just so well put together. It's good background music for a lot of things. It's good background music for playing other games, and it does go a long way to really help set the mood, especially in some of those more frantic battles. Although I don't know what I did wrong, but you said leading your Marines to victory, and most of my Marines died because I accidentally flipped a Warthog onto them in the first minute. So
look, flipping a Warthog onto Marines is a time-honored tradition. It's a rite of passage.
Those Marines are pretty much useless anyways.
The only thing they're good for is if you can get one to ride in the Warthog with you and shoot stuff. And occasionally, like, if you're absolutely lost...
See, that's a problem that I had, because it was like, you got this...
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
As if you're absolutely lost, again, going back to...
I was going to say, I had a problem with...
There's a little bit of a delay, I think.
There must be a delay somewhere.
Yeah, go first.
The Marines, go back to the joke, the Marines are at least trying to go in the right direction. So if you're absolutely lost, you could maybe look at the Marines and see where they're trying to go. That's it. Over to you, John, for your thoughts.
So I don't know if it was something with the AI on my playthrough, but like half the time I would, I'd get the Warthog, one Marine would hop up on the back, the other one would hop in the passenger seat. I'd park, and they would just sit there. Like, my kids are waiting for me to run and pump gas. They're just like, okay, I guess we'll wait here until Dad gets back. I'm like, what are you doing? Come with me. We gotta go up this hill. We gotta fight people. And they're like, no, we're good. It's comfortable in the car. Or the guy in the back would just not register enemies until there was already a sticky grenade on the side of the Warthog. And then he's like, oh, I should shoot that guy. And I'm just like, no, you gotta shoot him. You have a Gatling gun. Shoot them when they're like 300 yards over there. Don't wait until they're here.
Yeah, every time I got a Warthog, I'd just kick them out. I'd be like, all right, get out of here. You don't know what you're doing. I'm going to hop in here and just start shooting stuff because you suck.
That's why, and I may be jumping the gun on when you want to talk about this, but that's why co-op is so much better for this game. To have someone actually knows what they're doing, jump in the back of the Warthog and man the machine gun is the way to play this game.
Yeah. I can see that. I never had a chance to play the campaign
sense.
co-op. I don't know why I'm on delay.
Maybe that's what I'll do then. Maybe we can play. Maybe we can play co-op because I've never played it co-op, let alone this. Maybe it'll be a better run through.
And I would just say just skip to 2 at this point. But yeah, play the series co-op. It's just so much more enjoyable.
All right, so let's talk some highlights, lowlights of favorite weapon. Let's go to Smeagol, because I'm sure has a very opinion and probably will tell us all that we're doing it wrong.
Okay, I will say I prefer the human weapons, at least in Halo 1. I'd have to play the other ones again just to confirm it, but I know at least for Halo 1, the human weapons are better, and especially the shotgun and the pistol. That pistol in the first one is OP. Like, they actually nerfed it in the sequels. And then the shotgun, of course, is just so satisfying and definitely the best weapon against the Flood.
Pistol shotgun. Okay, I can appreciate that. How about you, Basic?
Yeah, same. Like the game finally became more enjoyable to me once we started encountering the flood, because that's when you start seeing shotguns all over the place, and it's like, thank God I have a weapon that can actually kill things now. Because, yeah, that'll be a low light we get to. But like, I felt like that is one of the only weapons. Well, that and the rocket launcher that can actually kill things in a reasonable amount of time, which matters given like how much damage certain things do to you in the game. You don't want to be standing out there all the time. You know, trying to snipe somebody with a plasma rifle.
For sure. Yeah, the plasma rifle, well, at least it's better than the plasma pistol or whatever that thing was called. Don, how about you?
Okay, so the plasma pistol is actually useful once you get to Halo 2, because with Halo 2 you can dual wield, and so you charge out the plasma pistol, fire one shot with that, it wipes out their overshield, and then one shot with the pistol, and they're dead.
Good to know. In the meantime, John, favorite weapons in Halo 1?
Well, considering I tapped out early, I didn't get to the flood or the shotgun or anything fun. So I was really relying on both the pistols, the Marine pistol and the energy pistol. So just doing a quick switch, you know. Hold on, I think I'm. Oh no, sorry. I thought my boss was calling me from the other room. My fault. So you know, a quick charge up the energy pistol, go out there, shoot, and then quick switch to the pistol, finish them off. That was kind of my go-to. Plenty of energy pistols around, and usually enough randomly strewn Marine corpses to get Marine pistol refills as you go through. But there were times where I just switched to the sniper rifle or the rocket launcher. And in a pinch, I guess I just kind of ran up and hit people with the rifle because that's more effective than shooting them with it.
I wanted to like the sniper rifle. I like sniper rifles in the few shooters that I play. They're so rare in this game, and the ammo is almost non-existent for them. So I played on easy. You know, I was just like, I'm gonna blow through this. You know, it's fine. I'm here for the story. You know. So I used 600 rounds of the terrible assault rifle, but hey, it's like, you know, they're gonna hand out the ammo like it's practically candy on Halloween. So and then once we got the shotgun, absolutely that became the go-to. I'd grab an energy weapon now and then if I was running low on ammo occasionally, but for the most part, shotgun. All right, I do want to know, like, basic. I know you've said you got to drop in like 5 minutes here, so let's get to some of your thoughts, your low lights.
Low lights. Yeah, I think the main low light is just that it takes forever to kill stuff. I tried to go through on the highest difficulty that I could manage, as much as I could manage. I dropped from legendary to heroic when I got to level 2, and then when I got to truth and reconciliation, I managed to beat it on heroic, but it was not a pleasant experience because there's one room in particular close to the end of the level. So like you come into this big hangar and then you've got to like go up the ship to get to some kind of dropship that you can leave. And that hangar room was like, it took me like an hour and a half to get through this one room because I went into that room with only like one little health bar. And I was waiting, like I kept trying to like shoot all the guys that would come out, like all the Covenant that would come out on the bottom. And then I would get sniped by the Jackals that had their plasma pistols because they like will charge them and just shoot at you from like across the room. And it's like, that's fine. Maybe I'll just take some time and try and be more methodical. But you can't do that because like all the plasma weapons have like really terrible accuracy at range. So you're trying to shoot everything. Like I guess the main low light, to summarize it quickly, is that the game likes to put you in situations where you need to engage enemies from far away, but it doesn't give you the weapons to do that. And like all the weapons that you can get, like the plasma weapons especially, are just really terrible at that. So it makes it really frustrating to run through on like a solo run. It's possible, it's doable, but I don't know how anybody gets through the game solo on Legendary. I can't imagine. And I'm like not bad at shooters, but this one was just really unwieldy.
Yeah, they didn't really bring out good ranged weapons till the sequel.
Yeah, like the battle rifle.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly.
And the melee also doesn't track. Like I remember, I played a lot of Halo 3 on multiplayer, and like one of the strategies on multiplayer online is like you shoot somebody until their shields go, and then you melee, because it'll like track the enemy and you'll run up and punch them. But that doesn't happen here. So I kept trying to melee stuff, and then just like I would get rocked by whatever I was trying to hit because I would just miss. It's very hard to actually hit things melee in this game.
Yeah, the melee is bad. I tell you, on easy, like the lowest level of Covenant grunts, like you can one shot those with melee, but like don't rely on it. Like you're still gonna miss half the time you try to hit them from point blank because the hitbox is weird and the aiming is weird. Give me an energy sword, dang it.
Different guns have different hitboxes.
Yeah.
I noticed that different guns have different hitboxes because it's like I would try and do melee a lot on the little flood things that squirm around that are used to impact. And I'd try to hit them, and like different guns would hit them in different ways, and it was hard to get the timing right.
The real answer is that someone just needs to mod. I'm sure they probably have energy swords into Halo 1 on PC, so that's probably done it. All right. We gotta talk vehicles, man. We've run through the Warthog jokes already, but I mean, what else is there to say about the Warthog? First off, does anybody actually want to try to defend the Warthog as it exists in Halo 1? Yes, Spiegel, I know it gets better in the sequels. As it exists in Halo 1.
So much better. Oh, there's no defense of it in Halo 1. Halo 1 is just garbage. I hated driving it.
It doesn't even have the horsepower to do fun jumps.
Yeah, and they would put ramps too. Like in the last level, they have a lot of like little ramps where you're supposed to jump over these gaps and stuff. But then the Warthog goes like 5 miles an hour. Like, why are you putting these here? Did anybody test this out?
Yeah, I think on like the 4th attempt I made at that final escape, I managed to hit like one of the ramps. If you go at absolute top speed with no drift and straight on, which, that's a miracle right there, getting the Warthog to actually go straight, then you can clear the jump.
Yeah, speaking of being in that level on Legendary, how does anyone beat that level on Legendary?
I don't know how anybody. I only beat level 1 on Legendary, and I'm like, I can't even get halfway through level 2, so I don't know how anybody gets through the rest of the game. I gotta drop, but it's good chatting with you guys. I'll see you guys on Channel 3.
Yeah, thanks, Basic.
See you, Basic. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, so I'll just recent.
But the other vehicles, though, I think were a lot better. The Ghost is pretty solid. That's my go-to. Usually in the Halo games is the Ghost. Like I posted on Channel 3, I like to see if I can get the Ghost in places that developers had no intention of it going, like getting it into the elevator, and then of course I couldn't get any further than that. The Banshee, I actually like the Banshee a little bit more in Halo 1 just because you can hold back on the joystick and it will hover in place, whereas in the sequels it doesn't do that. And of course the tank's always satisfying because that thing's a beast.
Yeah. I was a pretty big fan, and then John, as you dropped on early, you probably went to run into these. The Banshee and the Warthog. You get the Banshee pretty early, I feel like. Or no, the Ghost. The Ghost is the one you get early, yeah. I can't remember. Did you get far enough to get a Ghost? Little
I tried to drive it up that wonky pyramid with all of those chunks of metal everywhere. Yeah,
the Ghost.
They do improve it with the sequels because you can use a boost in the sequels. And if I remember correctly, they don't have a boost on the Ghost in the original.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That Ghost, like it. I feel like its controls better than a Warthog, which isn't saying anything, but Like, I always felt like it's just a little too drifty for me. What else?
A
So,
little too thrifty is generous.
yeah, well, it's like the opposite extreme of the warthog, where the warthog won't turn, and the ghost is like just constantly drifting and turning, even when you're not trying to.
Yeah. And one little tap on the fin just spins you.
Yeah.
Plus, you can't break. Because again, I like to try and get the ghost places where it has no business going. You can't break the fins in Halo 1. Like, and I know in the sequels you can actually break the fins so you can squeeze in places. Same with the
Nice.
Banshee. You can break the sides of it so you can squeeze in tighter places. Which I know we're getting off topic here, but there is a Easter egg in Halo 2, and it was such a pain to pull off. In the second level, I believe the second level of Halo 2, you're on this bridge with a tank, and you get near the end of this bridge, and all these Banshees flying around. Well, if you can get a Banshee to follow you into the tunnel that's at the end of the bridge, you can't kill the guy, but you got to get him, I think, in there. And then there's a small tunnel at the end of that tunnel. And you basically have to get the Banshee there. It's been a long time, so I'm trying to remember exactly how to do it. Basically, you have to get the Banshee there, break off its the sides of it, and then hijack it as you're going through that small tunnel. And if you do that, you can basically force the Banshee into the section of the game you're not supposed to, which will then take you, or you can fly around up top above all the buildings and whatnot. You can land on a roof and find a plasma rifle that fires the cannon of that big Covenant tank, the Scarab. And that thing will just wreck people. Plus, there's a soccer ball up there too, just for kicks and giggles.
Just for kicks. I mean, hey, the Marines got to play soccer somewhere.
Yeah, like a giant soccer ball too. It's great.
Is there any version of Halo that supports fan-created maps to where we could just torture people with like Ghost Rocket League?
That is an
I
evil
honestly don't know.
idea. I wouldn't be shocked if someone has a mod, but yeah, but maybe on one of the newer ones where probably the ghosts actually control better.
Not
You know,
a
it's-
Halo
yeah.
1 Ghost.
Yeah, I don't. That'd be interesting to, like, take the Halo 5, Halo 4, or whatever engine back, fill it with a Halo 1 Ghost. Or Halo 1 Warthogs. Halo 1 Warthog Rocket League. Little 2v2 action. One of you has to drive, one of you has to shoot.
That would be fun. So I'm curious,
Fun
which
is one
version
word
of the
for it.
game? Which version of the game did you guys play? Did you play the original? Did you play Master Chief Collection?
Master Chief for me.
Yeah. I played Master Chief on my Series X. Pretty sure that the title is old enough that it doesn't have any Series X optimization because it was a Xbox One title. But
Yeah, the reason why I asked, so that one would include the anniversary edition of Halo,
Yes.
which is what I played, because I played it on the 360. Did either of you use the option to switch between the original graphics and the anniversary graphics? And were you guys aware that was an option to do that?
I did it once by accident.
Yes.
I was messing around. And I was like,
Same
oh,
for
this
me.
is
I
this
did
is
it
fun game.
once.
I just thought it was really cool that they included that, because it really helps you see just how much of a difference a generation can make. because it looks so much better. The anniversary edition. Like I mentioned before, how I hate the library, and I think a big part of why I hated the library the first time I played Halo 1, is everything is just so dark and everything looks the same. It's so easy to get lost. Well, the anniversary one, the lighting is so much better that you can see where you're going, and just everything, of course, just looks cleaner, crisper. The lighting's, of course, is the biggest difference. So, in my opinion.
The lighting made a big difference for me. That's probably one of the reasons why I didn't, after I figured out that you could, why I didn't stick with the classic graphics, because I was just like, oh, I can see so much better, and I've got terrible vision as is, so I'll take what I can get.
I would once in a while just switch back for a few seconds just to kind of remind myself of what it used to look like, and then I'd go right back to the updated graphics. But it's just cool to see that difference periodically.
Yeah, it's funny because you were significantly further ahead of me. I was very late starting the game. I knew I would get caught up. I set the checkpoints, darn it. I'm responsible. I can own it. I knew I was going to get behind. Smeagol told me, like, oh, the library is one of the worst levels. And I got to the library, and I was like, like, I remembered it. Like, I remembered playing through the library the first time. But when I got to it, I was like, oh, yeah, this level. I remember this being a little bit annoying. But I got through it, no real major issues. And I was like, I wonder what Smeagol's problem with it was. But then, of course, Smeagol came back later and said, actually, the library is not the worst level. The worst level is, in fact, the ending, which is, I don't remember what it's called, but...
the Maw.
The Maw. Yeah. So, for the benefit of John...
It's only so awful because of the Warthog. That's why it sucks
true.
so bad, is because of the Warthog.
Yeah. And, I got a little lost, even before you get to the Warthog. Like, I got turned around a couple times just trying to figure out where I was supposed to be going, which is one of my general gripes with this game. Like, there was a couple places
where
I
got backtracked a lot, too, throughout the game. Like, where am I supposed to be going now?
Yeah. Modern game design has spoiled us on, giant glowing objective markers that just, go this way, go this way. The yellow paint from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, very controversial, and other games where it's just like, okay, maybe there's a happy medium where it's like those of us who are navigationally challenged, let's say, we can turn on our objective markers, and those of you who want to play it on a self-imposed challenge, turn it off. That's the medium I would like to see more games adopting.
Yeah.
Then, John, so for the benefit of you over this last level, you're back up on the Pillar's Bottom. You're trying to navigate through to get to the engine room and basically overload the engines. You overload the engines, and apparently someone read the Metroid playbook, because now you get a timer to escape. You've got, what is it, 6 minutes or something, Smeagol? I think
it's 6 minutes.
And
you have to drive the Warthog.
You have to drive the Warthog, because it's this huge stretch. You would never make it on foot. Like, as bad as the Warthog is, it still is technically faster than driving on foot. And at the very end, there's a big jump where you need, a boost from the Warthog. It's rough.
Oh yeah, I've seen clips of that jump. Is it the one where everything's crumbling around you and you're trying to hit it to...
It's not quite that bad, but yeah, it's you think you're gonna evac on the dropship, whose name I'm blanking on. I really should know this. I did play this game, I swear. Smeagol, help me out. What's the dropship?
I can't remember.
We're so bad. Anyway, we'll find it. You think you're going to evac on the dropship, and spoiler alert for a 27-year-old game, the dropship doesn't make it. Foehammer, look at that. I didn't even have to Google that. That was recall right there. Then you've got like 2 more minutes to drive, another 1,000 meters or something to then manage to escape in a shuttle at the very end, I'm playing on easy and going like, I'm literally just driving past everything, not trying to kill anything because no time, and I'm just face tanking all this damage. I'm like, I don't know how you do this in harder difficulties. It's like, I'm hoping that you just keep going, pray the Warthog somehow magically steers in the right direction. How many tries did it take you, Smeagol? Do you know?
It's either 2 or 3.
Yeah. And that's that whole 6 minutes. There's no checkpoint in that 6-minute window.
No.
So it's 6 minutes of pure hell because it is 6 minutes of driving the Warthog.
The takeaway from today's stream: the Warthog is awful.
The Warthog is awful. Yeah.
And Bungie should feel bad for making it.
So I guess more so for info, because John, I don't think you think you said you didn't reach this point, but I think we can't really talk about Halo without talking about the Flood and talking about the difference it made in the gameplay. So info, what are your thoughts on the Flood as an enemy? How it broke up the game, the gameplay. Overall, what are your thoughts?
I really appreciate what they did there. I think the game would have gotten pretty stale if it was just 10 levels of just killing the Covenant over and over again. And it's also something that I can't remember seeing in any game prior to Halo where you effectively have 3-way fights at certain points in the game where you've got you and maybe, if you're very lucky, 1 or 2 Marines, the Covenant and the Flood all kind of just this battle royale, and it's like, I wonder if I can just kind of sneak through here, nobody noticed. You guys busy fighting each other, right? So I took advantage of that in a few places, but it just would have been boring, I think, because if you look at how many different Covenant enemies there really are, it's not a lot. It's 4 or 5 different types of enemies at most.
You have the Grunts, the Jackals, the Elites, and the Hunters. I think are the only 4 in Halo 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Hunters are quite intimidating, but obviously the Grunts are fun, especially if you can get the skull to where they shoot confetti when you kill them. The Jackals are pretty easy, but can be a little annoying with as Baser was saying earlier, with the plasma pistol. The Elites are really the only ones that really mix it up with, energy swords, sometimes being invisible. But yeah, I agree. It would have been boring, I think. Eventually would have gotten boring if they didn't mix it up by adding in the Flood. And just the way they did it, too. They kept it mysterious what was happening. Dropping little hints here and there. But all of a sudden you're getting swarmed by the Flood, especially the first time playing it, when you don't know what's going to happen. I think it was one of the greatest twists in gaming. Definitely the best twist I've ever seen in a shooter.
Yeah, that I remember. I don't know if I was quite jump scare, but it was freaky. All of a sudden, this Flood is, and this, if you haven't played it, if you haven't seen it, actually, I have a streamer. I could pull this up. Let me not try to do this live. I'm not that.
Think along the lines of zombies.
Yeah.
It's a little bit along the lines of zombies. They'll chase after you, but they also have guns.
Tons of just little tiny enemies everywhere. Just and then they basically have 3 forms. You get the hundreds and hundreds of these little tiny guys that don't do a lot by themselves, but there's so many of them, and that's where you need the shotgun. Because basically 1 shot will kill a whole swarm of them. Then they have this evolved combat form.
Actually, any gun would do that.
Yeah, the shotgun's great for the spread. Killing a bigger swath of them, I think.
No, what I'm saying is like with any gun, if you hit one, any that are close by will also blow up.
Ah. Yeah, I actually have the strategy wiki for it up, so I actually know that there's full of 8 different enemies in the entire game, which, if you think about it, that's not a lot, but we'll come back to that.
No.
So the combat version is this, like, it's more like a Covenant soldier, almost like an elite, where it's like, you know, it doesn't take a lot of damage from the plasma weapons. You got to like pretty much hit it with a shotgun point blank is the best way to deal with it. The strategy also says you can use the Needler, but there's a weapon we haven't talked about. Did anybody try to use the Needler?
It's a fun gun. It's just sometimes like it's not always the most accurate. And then also you have the delay. So I think I remember liking it more in Halo 2 once you can start dual wielding them.
Yeah.
But wasn't my favorite in Halo 1. But cool idea. Definitely an interesting concept for a gun, for sure.
I mean, it's definitely a pain to go into a room and then hear the sound of several needlers going off at once at you. Like, that is absolutely annoying because you know, okay, great, no matter how much cover I get, at least 2 or 3 of those things are going to get around because I just reacted too slowly.
Yeah.
It's a great desperation gun if there's nothing else available, but I liked it in multiplayer. Multiplayer was actually kind of fun to just, you know, when somebody's not paying attention, you get around, just unload and just see all those little streaks flying at them. That made me happy.
Yeah. The last type of flood enemy was the carrier form. It's this giant blob that basically you shoot it, a bunch of the little tiny parasite ones explode out of it. Plus it has a huge AoE splash damage. So, like, you do not want to shoot that thing from point blank if you can avoid it. I made that mistake a couple of times. That hurt. The eighth and final enemy in the game is the Sentinels. Little robots that you thought were your friends.
Oh, right.
Turns
Those
out maybe not
things.
so much. Yeah, show up in a couple levels near the end when it becomes clear that they don't like the way that you're planning to deal with the flood problem. Which,
Yeah, they're robots, so they just want you to destroy all life in the universe. So doesn't affect them any.
So we're wrapping this up, get back to the ending a little bit. One of the things that surprised me a little bit about, you know, it's like I beat the final level and it was like almost immediately like, oh, credits are rolling, and then there's like, you know, almost nothing. It's like there's no splashy final, you know. I was expecting more of a narrative development at the end of the story. You know, and maybe that's just, you know, again, this 27-year-old game showing its age, but I would have liked to see a little bit more exploration there. And who knows? Maybe they just like never expected Halo to take off the way it did. Like, yeah, we don't need to write that much of a story, right? Since I know you didn't get to the ending, John, but Smeagol, what do you think of the ending?
I thought it was pretty good for what it was. I mean, it is the first game. I guess it's probably safe not to be too overly ambitious with it as far as the scope of the story. Like, still wanting to be self-contained, but still planting seeds for future games, which I thought they did well. I'm also trying to keep separate in my mind, because right after I did Halo 1, I finished off Halo 2 just so I could compare the two. And so I'm trying not to confuse what happened with the end of Halo 2 with what happened in Halo 1, because the end of Halo 2 was spectacular. And John, I don't know if you played Halo 2. There's so much more. You get dual wielding weapons. You actually get to play as the Arbiter, which is an elite. So half the game you're playing as Covenant. There's extra Covenant enemies. The health has changed. You no longer have the health bars There's no health packs anymore. It's just basically an overshield, which was a nice improvement. And I know we're getting a little bit off topic, but what's interesting too with Halo 2 is it wasn't supposed to end on a cliffhanger, but the developers ran out of time, and so that's why I ended up on a cliffhanger. But yeah, story in that was fantastic. But yeah, no, I think getting back to your original question, I think they did a good job of wrapping up a self-contained story while still planting some seeds for where the franchise could go moving forward.
Sure. I guess it's a good time to talk about, let's briefly talk about, so, Halo is, a massive franchise at this point. Google is giving me 19 Halo games, if you count the re-releases, if you count the anniversary editions. This original Halo Combat Evolved is from 2001. Okay, it's 23 years. I said 27 years a couple times. 23, 27, it's all the same. 23-year-old game. Then you got Halo 2 in 2004, Halo 3 2007. You got Halo Wars and Halo 3 ODST in 2009. You've got Reach in 2010. Then we started getting the anniversary edition. We got Halo's 10-year anniversary to the date. They managed to the date, released the Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition. And given all these titles, Smeagol, I think you're the resident Halo expert. Where would you start someone?
As poorly as it has aged, I do think you got to start with Halo 1. But yeah, play on easy. Just get the experience of Halo 1. Unless you're playing co-op with someone, then maybe you can up the difficulty a little bit. But yeah, I think start with Halo 1. But I think you really got to play the whole original trilogy and Reach. Like, to be honest, I don't care about Halo after those 4 games. I think Halo stopped being Halo once Bungie left. I think 343 Studios, I think they looked at the popularity of COD and they tried to take some of the things from COD and put them in Halo. I'm like, no, get your COD out of my Halo. If I wanted to play COD, I would play COD. I liked that Halo was originally a slower paced game compared to Call of Duty. I liked that there was more strategy involved in those regards. I like, obviously, Halo has vehicles, COD doesn't. So there are ways to go fast without, having to sprint nonstop. But anyways, yeah, the original games, the ones that Bungie did, are excellent. Those are the ones to focus on. They are, like I said, ideal playing co-op. Then lots of games are just more fun co-op anyways. But really getting to see the evolution of the franchise and the story. And then you really do have to play Reach, even though it is a little bit different. It kind of does change the formula a little bit. They do add little perk things that you can get. There is a limited sprint. There's a jetpack you can get, shield bubble, things like that. But that Reach is a very emotional game because it's a prequel. So Halo 1, you start off on the ship where Master Chief is. Halo Reach ends with the launch of that ship. So Reach is just setting up Halo 1. It's just knowing that obviously that it's a doomed mission to begin with. Just really, sorry, I got distracted reading the chat.
Yeah. That's me. Don't multitask. Yeah, so I guess I'll take over.
Play those 4 games.
Yeah, I might say, I might say, play Halo 2 just to see if you like it at all. And like, if you play Halo 2 and you're just like, this is kind of meh, it's not really for me, that's fine. I can respect that.
Yeah, 2 or 3, either one.
Right. All right. We do have a question in chat. Let me get this question from chat. So the question is, Noble 6 better than Chief? Smeagol, you're going to have to field this. I don't think I know. I did Google who Noble 6 was. Noble 6 is from one of the other games.
It's your character from Halo Reach.
Okay. I think I played Reach, but not recently.
Yeah, so Reach, you are a Spartan. And so they are, like I said, there is a little bit different. You can't dual wield because you're not Master Chief. You're not like this. You're not quite the same level of Spartan that Master Chief is. So they kind of show that they got rid of the dual wielding for Noble 6. The Noble 6 one is definitely more emotional story arc, but no, for me it's Master Chief.
That's fair. That's fair. Hope that answers your question, Grizzy. If you've got your own comments, feel free to put them in chat. I'll read them here. Want to give a chance over to John? Just give us your final thoughts. I know you bounced off the game. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about why you bounced off?
Info real quick before we do that. I think we do need to spend a couple minutes on this topic because this is really what Halo is, why it's so successful, is the multiplayer. So I think it would behoove us to spend a couple minutes talking about our thoughts about multiplayer.
Sure. I can hand it over to both of you to talk about multiplayer. I don't think I played this multiplayer since 20 odd years ago. So, John, what are your thoughts on playing Halo multiplayer?
I mean, I still remember the days of playing it, I mean, almost daily at the video store, either during slower periods or after closing. And I mean, I had a blast playing. I think that's probably what I never owned an Xbox though, so I only played it at work. It's one of those things that has always been on my list to give a try. And, like I said, maybe the first one was, planted some really good seeds for the future games. That's kind of the general vibe I get from the conversation from everybody on Channel 3 in the book club chat and in general there is and some of the things that I saw just when I played. And that goes for the multiplayer too, I feel like. I really liked the way that even in Halo 1, I guess now people would liken it to a trick shot, but like, oh, I need that sniper rifle over there. Grenade, and then it just launches the rifle over. I did not like that the OP Spartan pistol continued to make its way to multiplayer from the campaign, because I'm sitting there like, okay, I finally got a sniper rifle, and then I got plinked off from across the map by somebody with the pistol, because it's just so, I mean, it's effectively better than the sniper rifle. But I mean, countless hours of fun doing that, and a big part of my, early 20s, late teens.
Sure. Smeagol.
Info, what are your thoughts on
Multiplayer? I didn't play this multiplayer since 20 odd years ago, man. Don't ask me. Multiplayer?
Okay, so I've been playing.
Guy.
Well, for me, like I've been playing multiplayer since Halo 1. I got my Xbox near the end of its life cycle, but once I did, I had family members that had Halo 1. We'd get together for LAN parties. We had big screen TV upstairs, big screen TV downstairs. I went out and bought like this 50-foot LAN cable so I could connect the two TVs together, so that me and my family could play Halo 1. Play that, but then Halo 2 is really where it took off for me. First time ever playing online. That was my introduction to online gaming. I actually did spend money to get Xbox Live so I could play online, not only with family members, but even just joining with random people, which isn't always the greatest thing. Yeah, it's something that's still fun today. I still go over to friends' house from time to time. I don't have Master Chief. I don't have an Xbox anymore. Not kind of my original, my 360, but I stopped with 360. But going to friends' house, still do Master Chief Collection from time to time. Infection mode is still fun to do. And I think really that it's because of the multiplayer that Halo was as successful as it was. It's because of the multiplayer that Xbox ended up being the success that it was. Really, if it wasn't for Halo 2, that's really what launched Xbox Live.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that's a great point. And the idea of like needing a subscription service to play online multiplayer games is a whole other topic we do not have time to get into, but it's a great point that in some ways it started here. All right, back to what I was going to get to. So final thoughts here. John, tell us, your overall impressions of the game, good, bad, ugly, in a couple of minutes. You can 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Tell us what you didn't like about this game, since I think we all know where this is going.
Well, I'm not gonna just rag on it just because I stopped playing it. It's just more that there was enough with it that took away from the fun. And I realize we're talking about a really early game. The kind of the wonky AI, the enemies doing the thriller dance past my bullets, just doing that little duck and weave thing like they're. I was just like, can you just, you shouldn't be that fast. You're huge. Stop that. The Warthog. And just the thing that, typically I'd like my default, like the default weapon. I'll say like this was the biggest part for me was the rifle. I can understand it being a weaker starting weapon. You get better item, in other games, you either get better weapons, you either upgrade weapons. But usually it's okay if it's a weaker weapon as long as it could at least be accurate, as opposed to like having a spray pattern the size of a Home Depot bucket. And that's from 2 feet away. And then if you get like 10, 15 feet away, it's the size of the Warthog. I think that just kind of made it annoying to me. And then just the amount of damage that the enemies could take. I was only playing on normal difficulty. I think I'm just used to something maybe a little bit more quickly paced. I felt like a lot of the time I was doing a lot of sneaking around, taking cover, waiting for shields to regenerate. I liked that the enemies weren't stupid enough to just be like, oh, hey, that looks like a grenade. Is that a grenade? I think it's a grenade. And then boom, dead. I like that they actually ran away and I had to try and place my grenades well. The lore is great. The story is great. Like I said, I kept reading about it and looking into it even after I stopped playing the game. And it definitely kept me kind of in a space of interest to play the other games. So I do have 2 and 3 installed at home, and I will definitely be playing those.
Nice.
I always like to say I have to run because I have to run to a meeting since I'm at work. Sorry to hop off right after my.
Absolutely. No, thanks, John. We're
always appreciate being here, John.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Sure.
No, it's kind of just what I've been saying all the time. Like, I appreciate Halo for what it was. It took what GoldenEye started, really revolutionized it. Because, GoldenEye, it's kind of like what, Dan said about the difference between Arkham Asylum and Spider-Man. Arkham ran so that Spider-Man could fly. GoldenEye ran so that Halo could fly. And Halo just took what was so great about GoldenEye, improved on it in so many ways. Obviously, dual joysticks being the biggest difference.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you said, it's 23 years old. It's understandable that there's going to be some rough edges. But I still appreciate it for what it was. It's obviously not my favorite Halo game. I still like it better than anything by 343. But I still appreciate it. I still enjoy it for what it is. I don't want to have to drive the Warthog though if I can avoid it. But yeah, if push comes to shove, I'm going to play 2 and 3. That's going to be most of my time with the Halo franchise. Those are the multiplayer maps I still like going back to. It's 2 and 3. But yeah, I'm very appreciative for the franchise. Enjoyed the franchise, at least with what Bungie did.
Yeah, that seems like a fair review. I can get behind most of that. Like, would I have chosen to go back and play Halo if it was not for a video game book club? No. That's a bit of a contradiction in the fact that I'm the one who picked this, but that's my problem. I can separate things out between what I think is good for the book club versus what I think I would personally enjoy. I think it's a fine enough game. It's really, rough around the edges, but I appreciate what it brought to the first-person shooter genre with the attempt to say, what if we actually tried to tell a story here? What if we had more than just, most shooters to date were largely just, generic World War II shooters. Here we have something that's very science fiction. It's a very different setting. We've got unique enemies. Only 8 of them, which you don't really realize until you kind of get through the game. It's like, wait a minute. There are really only 8 enemies in this entire game. Yeah, the Warthog can die in a fire. I do think I have played the sequels. They definitely are much better, much more polished. So, yeah, I think it's overall worth a shot. And I think with that, we are going to wrap here. So, bookkeeping announcements. Remember that we are starting our holiday. We're not going to try to do a playthrough of a full game over the holidays. We know people are busy, people are crazy schedules. So we are starting next week off with some Donkey Kong Country. Check it out on your Switch Online. You all have Switches, right? Come on. Or hey, bonus points. Seriously, shoot a picture of playing it on original hardware. We'll find some bonus XP for that. Smeagol's like, quick! I gotta find my Super Nintendo. More XP.
I don't own the original. I only own Donkey Kong Country 2.
Oh, sad. No bonus XP for Smeagol. 2 weeks after that, we'll be hitting Doki Doki Literature Club. And then 2 weeks after that, to wrap up the year, we'll be doing some Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, any title from 1 to 4. Our next full playthrough game, our next full game will be can't talk Star Wars Jedi Survivor. No, Jedi Fallen Order, the original insofar as it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
But that'll take us almost all of Q1 next year. I have planned I believe 10 weeks for that game, so that'll be quite the ambitious undertaking for the club. In the meantime, continue to check us out on Channel 3. Once again, thank you to Basic and John who were with us here earlier. Thank you to everyone in Twitch chat. Smeagol, it's always a pleasure talking to you here. For Channel 3 and our executive producer, Joel Willis, thank you all, and see you next time.